Ryan had never imagined that his life would take such a strange turn. He was just an ordinary man who worked small jobs in his town. The days were simple and quiet, but he often dreamed about something more. He wanted adventure, something that would make his life different from the rest. He never thought the answer would come from the stars. One evening, Ryan was walking home after finishing his work. The sky was unusually bright. A silver light stretched across the horizon. At first, he thought it was a falling star, but the light grew stronger and moved closer. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A strange craft landed in the field outside the town. Curiosity pulled him forward. His heart raced, but his feet did not stop. When he reached the field, the craft opened with a soft hiss. Figures stepped out. They were tall, with skin that shimmered like stone under sunlight. Their faces were calm but unreadable. They did not look human, yet there was no anger or harm in their eyes. One of them spoke in a deep voice that echoed in Ryan's mind. It was not a language he knew, yet somehow he understood. "Human, we have watched your world. We come with an offer. Will you follow?" Ryan could barely breathe. His first thought was fear, but then came the spark of adventure. He nodded slowly. The figures guided him into the craft. The inside was vast, glowing with soft lights and strange patterns on the walls. He had never seen anything like it. The craft rose silently into the sky. Ryan looked through a clear window and saw his town shrink below him until it was only a dot. The journey did not feel long. The craft moved faster than anything he could imagine. When it stopped, Ryan stepped out into a new world. He stood in an open valley surrounded by mountains of crystal and rivers that glowed faintly in the dark. Strange trees swayed gently though there was no wind. In the middle of the valley stood a village. The houses were built from smooth stone, round and tall, with glowing symbols carved into them. Creatures of different shapes moved about, all working in harmony. Some carried baskets, others worked on machines, and some tended to glowing plants. Ryan followed his guides into the village. He could feel eyes on him. The villagers stopped their work to look at the newcomer. Some whispered in voices he did not know, but their tone did not sound harsh. There was curiosity, even respect. Soon, Ryan was led to a large hall at the center of the village. Inside sat the elder. She was tall and her eyes shone like the stars. Her voice was calm when she spoke. "Human, you have been chosen. You will live among us. Your task is simple. You will work in our village, learn our ways, and help us with what only your kind can do." Ryan blinked, confused. "What can I do that you cannot?" he asked. The elder smiled gently but did not answer fully. "You will learn in time. For now, you must trust." They gave Ryan a place to stay, a small stone house near the river. It was simple but warm. Food was brought to him, though it was unlike anything he had ever eaten. The taste was strange but not unpleasant. The next morning, Ryan was taken to begin his work. His task seemed ordinary. He was asked to carry supplies, help with repairs, and watch over the machines that powered the village. The machines hummed with a soft glow, and though he did not understand them, the villagers patiently guided him. At first, Ryan thought his new life was nothing special. It was just another job, though in a strange place. Yet the villagers treated him with unusual care. They asked questions about Earth, about humans, about how he thought and how he solved problems. They listened with deep interest whenever he spoke, as if every small detail was important. As days passed, Ryan noticed something strange. Whenever he touched the machines, they worked smoother. Whenever he carried heavy loads, he did not tire as quickly as before. The villagers whispered about this, though they never explained. One evening, as he walked by the river, he saw two villagers speaking in hushed voices. They did not know he was near. "The human does not know yet," one said. "He will learn soon," the other replied. "He is the key. Without him, the village will not survive." Ryan froze. His heart pounded. What did they mean? Why was he the key? The elder appeared the next morning. She looked at him kindly but with seriousness in her eyes. "Ryan, your journey has just begun. You think this is only work, but your true role is far greater. Soon you will see why you were brought here." Ryan could not sleep that night. He lay awake, staring at the strange ceiling of his stone house. His mind was full of questions. What was his real purpose? Why were the villagers watching him so closely? The stars outside shone brightly. Ryan wondered if he had made the right choice by stepping into the craft that night. Yet deep down, he felt something stir. Perhaps this was the adventure he had always longed for. For now, he could only wait. But he knew one thing: his life would never be the same again. The village woke early each morning. By the time the twin suns rose above the crystal mountains, most of the villagers were already at work. Ryan tried to follow their way of life. He carried supplies from the river, helped repair broken tools, and learned to care for the glowing plants that grew in neat rows. The plants were unlike anything on earth. Their leaves glowed faint green at night, and when touched they gave off a soft warmth. The villagers told him the plants were the main source of food and also gave energy to their machines. Ryan noticed that when he watered them or touched the soil around them, the plants grew faster and shone brighter. The villagers whispered about this but did not explain. One day, while Ryan was helping near the field, a young villager named Darren approached him. Darren was friendly and curious. Unlike many of the others, he spoke to Ryan often and asked many questions. "You do not know your gift, human," Darren said in a quiet voice. "What gift?" Ryan asked. "The way the plants grow when you touch them, the way the machines respond when your hand rests on them. It is not normal. It is only you who can do this." Ryan frowned. "Maybe it is just luck." Darren shook his head. "No. It is not luck. You will understand when the elder tells you more." Ryan wanted to ask further, but before he could, the elder herself arrived. Her long robe shimmered like water under the sun. She watched Ryan with calm but sharp eyes. "Come with me," she said. He followed her to the great hall at the center of the village. Inside, symbols glowed on the walls. The elder motioned for him to sit. She sat across from him, her voice low and serious. "Ryan, you are beginning to notice. The whispers you hear are true. You are not here only for work. Your presence holds meaning. Long ago, our people studied the stars. We learned that among many worlds, there would come a time when we needed help from another kind. That time is now." Ryan felt a chill. "But why me? I am just a worker. I know nothing of great tasks." The elder smiled gently. "That is what you believe. Yet even now, our plants answer to your touch, our machines flow with your energy. You carry something within you that your kind has always had but never understood. We call it the spark." "The spark?" Ryan repeated, confused. "Yes. The spark is life force. It binds to nature, to stone, to air. Most of us can guide it only a little, but humans hold it strongly though they do not see it. You have more of it than most we have ever known. Ryan shook his head. I don't believe it. I am just a man. I cannot be what you think I am. The elder looked deep into his eyes. Doubt is natural. But time will show you the truth. Already the village feels the change since you came. The spark within you is the key to survival. Her words echoed in Ryan's mind. Survival? What danger was the village facing? He wanted to ask, but the elder rose and ended the meeting. You must rest. Soon the trials will begin. That night, Ryan lay awake again, thinking about the spark. Could it be real? On Earth, he had never felt special. He had lived a simple life, one day after another. But here, every step he took seemed to matter. The villagers looked at him with hope. Their whispers carried weight. He felt pressure, but also a strange sense of purpose. The following day, Darren returned to him. The elder has spoken to you, Darren said. Yes, Ryan replied, but I still don't understand. You will. Come, I will show you something. Darren led him out of the village and into the mountains. The path was narrow and steep. Crystal stones jutted from the cliffs, glowing faintly as if guiding them forward. After a long walk, they reached a cave. Inside, the walls were covered with carvings. The shapes showed stars, planets, and figures that looked almost human. Ryan stared at the carvings. These are humans, he whispered. Yes, Darren said. Long ago, our ancestors met your kind. They saw the spark and knew it would be needed one day. They left these carvings as a record. They believed a human would return to us when the time of danger came. Ryan touched the wall. The carvings glowed brighter under his hand. Darren's eyes widened. Do you see? The cave itself answers to you. You are the one the prophecy spoke of. Ryan pulled his hand away, unsettled. I did not ask for this. I only came because I was curious. I did not know what I was walking into. Darren placed a hand on his shoulder. No one chooses destiny, Ryan. It chooses you. They returned to the village, but Ryan's mind was heavy with thought. The prophecy, the spark, the villagers' hope, it all felt like too much. He wanted to deny it, yet deep inside he remembered how the plants had grown brighter under his care, how the machines had worked more smoothly when he touched them, how even the carvings had answered him. That evening, as he walked by the glowing river, he heard a strange sound. The water rippled violently though there was no wind. From the forest beyond, a dark shape moved. The villagers gathered quickly, alarm in their voices. Ryan saw fear in their eyes for the first time. What is it? He asked. Darren's face grew pale. The shadow beasts. They have returned. The elder appeared beside them. Her voice was calm but firm. This is why you are here, Ryan. The spark within you is the light against the shadow. Soon you will see your true task. The dark shapes grew closer. Strange glowing eyes stared from the forest. The villagers armed themselves with staffs that glowed faint blue. Ryan stood frozen, his heart pounding. He had never fought anything like this. The elder turned to him. Do not fear. Trust the spark. It will guide you. For the first time, Ryan felt the weight of destiny settle on him. His job was not just simple work in the village. His role was something far greater. The night was heavy with tension. The villagers stood together at the edge of the glowing river, their staffs shining with faint blue light. Across the water, the shadow beasts moved silently among the trees. Their eyes glowed like burning coals. Their shapes were twisted, like smoke given form, yet their claws gleamed sharp as steel. Ryan felt his knees weaken. He had never faced danger like this. On Earth, his hardest struggle had been long hours of work and endless tired nights. But here, the danger was alive, moving, and coming closer with every breath. The elder raised her staff high. "Stand firm," she said. Her voice carried strength, and the villagers answered with a cry of unity. The beasts rushed forward. The ground shook as they crossed the forest line and charged toward the village. The villagers formed a wall, their staffs striking the ground together. Blue light spread across the earth, forming a shield that blocked the first wave of attackers. The beasts hit the barrier and snarled with rage. Ryan stood behind the line, his heart racing. He wanted to run, but something deep inside told him to stay. Darren stood beside him, gripping his staff tightly. "Do not fear," Darren said. "Remember what the elder told you. Trust the spark." The barrier shook as more beasts slammed against it. Cracks of darkness spread across the glowing shield. The villagers struggled to hold it together. Sweat ran down their faces, but they did not step back. Suddenly, one of the beasts broke through. It leapt high over the barrier, landing inside the village. The ground trembled as it landed. Villagers cried out in alarm. The creature's eyes locked on Ryan. Time slowed. Ryan's breath caught in his chest. The beast charged at him, claws raised. Instinct took over. He threw up his hands, expecting nothing but fear. Instead, light burst from his palms, bright and strong. It struck the beast, sending it flying back across the river. The villagers gasped. The elder's eyes shone with pride. "The spark has awakened." Ryan stared at his hands in shock. He had not planned it. He had not even known he could do it. Yet the power had come, as natural as breathing. The beasts roared louder. More of them leapt over the shield, claws slashing, teeth snapping. Villagers fought bravely, their staffs glowing as they struck back. But for every beast pushed away, another replaced it. Ryan felt the energy inside him surge again. He raised his hands, and beams of light shot out, striking two beasts at once. They shrieked and vanished like smoke in the wind. The villagers cheered. But the battle was far from over. The largest beast stepped forward from the forest. Its body was taller than any house in the village. Its eyes burned brighter than fire, and its claws were longer than swords. The ground shook with every step it took. Fear filled the villagers. Their barrier flickered and broke apart. The smaller beasts spread into the village, and chaos erupted. Ryan felt his chest tighten. Could he fight something so large? He did not know. The elder stepped forward. Her voice was strong. "Ryan, this is the trial you must face. Only the spark within you can stop it." Ryan's mind screamed in doubt, but his heart told him to try. He closed his eyes and remembered the feeling when the light had burst from his hands. It had not been forced. It had flowed like water. He reached inside himself again, searching for that flow. The great beast roared and charged. Its claws came down toward him. At the last moment, Ryan raised his arms. A shield of pure light formed around him. The claws struck the shield but did not break it. The ground shook, but Ryan stood firm. Energy rushed through him, stronger than before. He stepped forward, and the shield pushed the beast back. The villagers cried out in amazement. Light spread across the ground, weaving like rivers of fire. The smaller beasts hissed and burned away when they touched it. The great beast roared again and struck harder. The shield cracked. Ryan gritted his teeth. His arms shook under the force. He felt as if the energy would tear him apart. But then he heard voices. The villagers were chanting, calling his name, sending him their strength. Something changed inside him. The spark did not feel heavy anymore. It felt alive, connected to the world around him, to the river, to the mountains, to the very air. He let it flow freely. The shield exploded outward in a wave of blinding light. The great beast screamed as the light struck it. Its body shattered into smoke and sparks, vanishing into the night. The smaller beasts howled and fled back into the forest. Silence fell. The battle was over. The villagers lowered their staffs, their faces filled with awe. They looked at Ryan not as an outsider, but as something more. The elder stepped forward, her eyes shining. The prophecy is true. You are the one chosen to carry the spark for this age. You are the protector of this village. Ryan's heart pounded. He looked around at the villagers. Their faces were full of hope. Darren grinned, relief in his eyes. Yet Ryan felt more confused than ever. He had not asked for this. He had only wanted a simple job. But now, he was tied to something far greater than himself. That night, the villagers celebrated. They lit fires around the river and sang songs of old. They offered food and drink to Ryan, bowing to him as if he were a hero. But inside, Ryan was restless. He could not shake the memory of the power flowing through him, nor the fear of what it meant. Later, when the fires dimmed and the songs faded, the elder spoke quietly to him. You have only taken your first step. Greater trials lie ahead. The shadow beasts are only the beginning. A darkness is rising beyond the mountains, and the fate of more than this village may rest upon you. Ryan stared into the night sky, where the stars shone brighter than ever. He thought of his small town on earth, of the simple life he had left behind. He realized there was no going back. He was part of something vast, something he could not yet understand. For the first time, he felt both fear and purpose. The spark was inside him, and it was only beginning to awaken. The village returned to peace after the battle, but the memory of the shadow beasts remained heavy in everyone's heart. Though the fires had been put out and the broken tools repaired, the people knew the danger had not ended. They whispered of the great beast, and their eyes often turned toward Ryan with quiet hope. Ryan tried to act normal, but deep inside he felt uneasy. The spark had saved them, yet he did not understand how it worked or why it was inside him. Each time he remembered the moment of power, his hands trembled. What if he failed the next time? One morning, the elder summoned him to the great hall. The room was quiet, the glowing symbols on the walls brighter than usual. She stood near the center, her staff resting beside her. Ryan, she said, her voice steady, you have taken the first step, but more must be revealed. It is time you learn the truth of our struggle. He followed her as she led him through a hidden passage behind the hall. The path was dark and narrow, but crystals in the walls glowed faintly as they walked deeper. At the end of the tunnel lay a chamber larger than any building in the village. In the middle stood a massive stone tablet covered in ancient carvings. This, the elder said, is the prophecy of the spark. It was written long before my time, before the village was built. It speaks of a time when shadow would rise from beyond the mountains, seeking to consume light and life. Against it, a human bearing the spark would come, chosen by fate to stand as a shield. Ryan stared at the carvings. The figures on the stone looked strange yet familiar. He could see shapes of shadow, beasts with burning eyes, and beside them stood a single human glowing with light. His chest tightened. "So this is why you brought me here," he whispered. The elder nodded. "Yes. The spark flows strongest in your kind. Long ago, our ancestors touched your world. They found humans carried more of it than any other race. They believed one day a human would be the key to saving us." Ryan shook his head. "But I do not know how to use it. I only reacted in fear. What if it fails next time? What if I cannot control it?" The elder placed a hand on his shoulder. Her touch was warm, steady. "Power grows with trust. You must trust yourself, and you must trust the spark. It is not something you force. It is something you let flow, as you did in battle." Ryan lowered his eyes. The weight of her words pressed on him. He wanted to believe, yet fear clung to him. As they left the chamber, Darren was waiting outside. His face lit up when he saw Ryan. "Did she tell you?" "Yes," Ryan replied softly. "Then you know what must come next," Darren said. "Training." From that day forward, Ryan began to train with the villagers. They gathered in the open field near the river, where the ground was soft and wide. The villagers taught him to focus his breath, to calm his mind, and to feel the flow of energy around him. They struck their staffs into the ground, creating ripples of light that spread across the earth. At first, Ryan struggled. The light inside him came only in sudden bursts, often uncontrolled. Sometimes it flared too strong, burning the grass, and other times it vanished when he needed it. The villagers watched with patience, never mocking, only guiding. Darren stayed close to him, offering encouragement. "Do not think too much," he said. "The spark listens to your heart more than your mind." Slowly, Ryan improved. He learned to call small sparks into his hands, shaping them into light that hovered like fireflies. He learned to form shields that lasted longer. Though he still could not match the strength he had shown during the battle, he began to understand the flow. One evening, as the suns dipped below the mountains, the elder visited his training. She watched quietly, then spoke. "The spark answers you because you carry both fear and courage. Do not see fear as weakness. Even the bravest carry it. The difference is what you choose to do despite it." Her words struck him deeply. For the first time, Ryan felt he could accept his fear without shame. He did not have to be unshaken. He only had to keep moving forward. But peace did not last. One night, while the village slept, a tremor shook the earth. Cries filled the air as villagers rushed outside. The ground cracked, and a wave of dark mist rose from the forest. The shadow beasts had returned, but this time they did not come alone. From the mist stepped a figure unlike the others. It walked upright, its body wrapped in smoke, its eyes glowing with cruel intelligence. It carried no claws, no teeth, but the air itself seemed to bend around it. The elder's face grew pale when she saw it. "The Shadow Lord," she whispered. Ryan felt his heart freeze. This was no simple beast. This was the mind behind the darkness. The prophecy's true enemy. The Shadow Lord raised a hand, and the river's glow dimmed. The villagers gasped as the protective light of their land flickered. "Your time is ending," the figure said, its voice like thunder. "The light will die, and the village will fall." The elder stepped forward, staff glowing bright. "As long as the spark lives, the light will never die." The Shadow Lord's eyes turned toward Ryan. For a moment, Ryan felt as if the creature could see straight into his soul. A deep chill filled him, and doubt tried to take root again. But then he remembered the elder's words, and Darren's faith in him. The air in the village grew heavy as the Shadow Lord stood at the river's edge. The glowing waters that once brought comfort now flickered weakly. The villagers gathered in fear, their staffs trembling in their hands. None of them had ever seen such a figure before. The beasts had been dangerous, but this one carried an aura far greater, an aura of power and command. Ryan stood frozen. His heart pounded against his chest. He could feel the eyes of every villager on him, waiting, hoping. They had all heard the prophecy. They all believed he was the one to protect them. Yet he felt like nothing more than an ordinary man who had stumbled into a world far beyond his understanding. The Shadow Lord's voice rolled like thunder across the valley. "Human, you cannot hide from me. You carry the spark, and I will claim it. With it, darkness will cover every land, and no light will remain." The elder raised her staff, a glow spreading from its tip. "He is not yours to claim. He was chosen by the light." The Shadow Lord laughed, a sound that rattled the ground. "Chosen? He is weak. He does not even understand what he carries." Ryan clenched his fists. The words struck deep, for they held truth. He did not understand the spark, not fully. Yet he could not let the village fall. He stepped forward, his voice shaking but firm. "I may not understand, but I will not give you what you want." The figure's burning eyes narrowed. Darkness spread from its body, rolling across the ground like smoke. The villagers stumbled back, but Ryan held his place. He felt the energy stir inside him, the spark responding to the growing threat. The elder spoke quickly, her voice sharp. "Ryan, this is the test. You must not let fear rule you. Trust the spark. Let it flow as it did before." The Shadow Lord raised a hand, and a beam of darkness shot toward him. Ryan reacted without thinking. His hands rose, and a shield of light formed around him. The darkness struck, and the ground shook, but the shield held. The villagers gasped in awe. The elder's eyes burned with pride. "Good. Now, let it grow." Ryan pushed forward, sending his own light toward the Shadow Lord. The beam cut through the darkness, striking the figure's chest. For a moment, the shadow wavered, its form flickering like smoke in the wind. But then it steadied and laughed again. "Not enough. You are a child playing with fire." The figure lifted both arms, and the ground split. From the cracks poured dozens of shadow beasts, their glowing eyes fixed on the village. The people cried out, forming lines of defense, staffs glowing weakly. Ryan knew the battle had begun. He rushed forward, light bursting from his palms. Each wave of light struck beasts down, turning them into smoke that vanished into the air. But more kept coming, endless, pouring from the cracks in the earth. Sweat ran down his face. His chest burned with effort. The spark within him felt powerful but heavy, as if it demanded more than his body could give. Still, he pushed on, unwilling to see the village fall. Darren fought beside him, his staff glowing blue. "Do not give up," he shouted. "The spark is with you." Ryan nodded, forcing himself to keep moving. He struck down another beast, then another. The light grew stronger, brighter, spreading across the field. The villagers rallied, their courage renewed by his strength. Together they held the line. But the Shadow Lord did not stop. It raised its hand again, and the sky darkened. Clouds rolled over the valley, blocking the twin suns. Lightning of black fire split the sky. The villagers staggered, their staffs dimming. Fear crept back into their eyes. The elder cried out, "Ryan, you must rise higher. The spark is not just light. It is life itself. Feel the land, the river, the air. You are not alone. The world will fight with you." Ryan closed his eyes for a moment, blocking out the noise of battle. He breathed deeply, reaching inside himself. He felt the spark, but he also felt something more. He felt the rhythm of the glowing river, the pulse of the crystal mountains, the quiet strength of the soil beneath his feet. The spark was not only his. It was connected to everything around him. When he opened his eyes, his fear was gone. He raised his arms, and light poured out of him, brighter than before. The ground lit up, and the river blazed like fire. The villagers cried out in awe as the darkness was pushed back. The Shadow Lord hissed. Its form wavered again, more violently this time. It stepped back, its voice sharp with anger. "This is not finished. You may hold me here, human, but you cannot stop what is coming. The true darkness waits beyond the mountains. You cannot stand against it." With those words, the figure dissolved into smoke and vanished into the night. The beasts followed, fading one by one until only silence remained. The villagers stood in shock. Their faces showed both relief and fear. They had survived, but they knew the danger was far from over. The elder approached Ryan, her voice low but steady. "You did well. You faced the Shadow Lord and lived. That alone is no small thing. But his words carry truth. Beyond the mountains lies a greater darkness, and if it rises, not only this village but the whole world will fall." Ryan's chest was still burning, his body trembling with exhaustion. "Then I must go," he said softly. "If the danger is greater beyond the mountains, that is where I must face it." The elder placed a hand on his arm. "You are willing to carry a burden that is not yours. That is why you were chosen. But the path ahead will not be easy. You will need more than strength. You will need wisdom, patience, and allies." Darren stepped forward, his face filled with determination. "He will not go alone. I will go with him. The spark may be his, but this fight is ours too." The villagers cheered softly, their hope restored. For the first time, Ryan did not feel like a stranger among them. He felt like one of them, bound to their fate. That night, as the village rebuilt its broken walls, Ryan stood by the river. The water glowed brightly again, reflecting the stars. He thought of Earth, of the life he had left behind. He wondered if anyone there would ever know what he had become. But his heart no longer longed for the past. His path was here now, in this strange world, against a darkness that threatened all life. The spark burned inside him, steady and bright. And though fear still whispered at the edges of his mind, purpose drowned it out. He was no longer just a worker in an alien village. He was a guardian, chosen by fate, and his journey had only begun. The morning air was crisp, and the twin suns rose slowly over the crystal mountains. Ryan stood at the edge of the village, his eyes fixed on the peaks far beyond. He knew the Shadow Lord's warning was true. Somewhere beyond those mountains, a greater darkness waited, one that could not be defeated by a village alone. Darren stood beside him, carrying a small pack of supplies. "Are you ready?" he asked. Ryan took a deep breath. "I have to be. If the spark chose me for this, I cannot turn back now." The elder appeared suddenly, her presence calm but firm. "Take only what you need. Trust the spark, and trust each other." The path beyond the mountains is dangerous. Many have tried to reach the other side and failed. The darkness is not only beasts. It is a force that tests courage, patience, and heart. Ryan nodded, feeling the weight of her words. I will not fail. The journey began slowly. They followed a winding trail that climbed higher with every step. The air grew thinner, and the glowing river below became smaller with distance. Crystals jutted from the mountainside, reflecting the sunlight in dazzling colors. For a while, the only sounds were the crunch of their steps on stone and the distant cry of birds that seemed to live among the peaks. As they climbed, Ryan noticed signs of the Shadow Lord's reach. Trees had blackened tips, and faint scorch marks lined some of the rocks. He shivered, imagining what lay ahead. At midday, they reached a plateau. From there, they could see a valley far below, cloaked in shadow. The sunlight barely touched it. That must be where he gathers his forces, Darren said quietly. Ryan swallowed hard. It looks alive. It is, Darren agreed. The darkness moves. It waits for someone to enter. They set up a small camp for the night. As they ate, Ryan tried to focus on controlling the spark. He held his hands above a small crystal stone and felt the energy move through him. Slowly, the stone began to glow faintly. I think I am getting better, he whispered. You are, Darren said. But beyond the mountains, you will need more than control. You will need strategy. The darkness will not fight like the beasts here. It will try to find your fears and weaknesses. You must be ready. Ryan nodded, but he felt a flicker of doubt. Could he face something that attacked not just the body but the mind? That night, he dreamed. In his dream, the Shadow Lord appeared before him. Its eyes glowed, and its form was ever shifting. You cannot stop what comes, it said. You are too small, too weak. Ryan woke with a start, his heart pounding. Yet even in his fear, he felt the spark inside him stir. It whispered strength, courage, and purpose. He realized that the dream had been a test, a warning of what lay ahead. The next morning, they continued their climb. As they neared the highest peaks, snow began to fall. The cold was sharp, cutting through their clothes. The trail became narrow, and the wind howled like a living thing. Suddenly, the ground beneath Ryan shifted. A crack appeared in the ice, and he stumbled forward. Darren caught him just in time. Be careful, he shouted over the wind. The mountains themselves test those who enter. Ryan nodded, gripping the edge of the trail. The spark glowed faintly within him, warming his hands and giving him strength. He realized that it was not only light against darkness, it was also life against the harshness of the world itself. By midday, they reached the summit. The view was breathtaking. Valleys and rivers stretched out below, and distant forests shimmered in the sunlight. Yet beyond the mountains, a dark haze moved like water. It twisted and rolled as if alive. Ryan felt a shiver run through him. That is where the darkness gathers, Darren said. Beyond that haze lies the challenge we must face. Ryan took a deep breath. Then we must continue. The spark will guide us. As they descended the far side of the mountains, the temperature dropped further, and the landscape became rocky and barren. Strange sounds echoed in the distance. It was not the cry of birds or the wind. It was a low, vibrating hum, like a voice without words. Ryan felt the spark stir within him, responding to the sound. It was a warning, or perhaps a guide. He did not know, but he trusted it. Suddenly, shadows moved in the distance. Figures emerged, taller and darker than any beasts they had faced before. Their eyes glowed, but there was intelligence in their movement. They did not attack immediately. They circled, studying Ryan and Darren, testing their strength. "This is it," Darren said. "The darkness waits. It is learning about us. Be ready for anything." Ryan closed his eyes and focused. The spark flowed through him, spreading warmth through his body. Light shimmered faintly around his hands, though he did not summon it consciously. The shadows hissed and retreated slightly, as if sensing the energy. He realized something important. The spark was more than a weapon. It was a presence, a force that could influence the world around him. It could guide, protect, and reveal truth. But it required courage and trust. If he doubted, it would falter. The shadows paused. Then, from the haze, a single figure stepped forward. Its shape was immense, black as night, and its eyes burned with cruel intelligence. The Shadow Lord had returned, more powerful than before. "You have come," it said, its voice echoing through the mountains. "I have waited for you. The spark will not save you this time." Ryan raised his hands. The spark flowed, bright and steady, forming a shield that stretched across the rocky ground. He felt the strength of the village, the mountains, and the rivers with him. He was not alone. The Shadow Lord hissed, and the darkness began to swirl faster. The battle beyond the mountains was about to begin, and Ryan knew this was only the beginning of the trials he must face to protect the village, the world, and the light itself. The air was thick with tension as Ryan faced the Shadow Lord. The mountains around them groaned under the force of the dark energy. The ground cracked, and gusts of wind swirled violently. Every step forward seemed harder than the last. The Shadow Lord's eyes glowed, burning like twin suns in the darkness. Ryan felt the spark stir within him, brighter than ever. The power had grown with every challenge, every battle, every trial. He remembered the village, the elder, Darren, and the people who had trusted him. He realized he was not alone in this fight. The spark was not just his, it was the light of all those who believed in hope. "You cannot stop me, human," the Shadow Lord hissed. "Your light is small. Darkness is eternal." Ryan stepped forward. "The spark is stronger than you think. You underestimate it because you do not know what it can do when it is shared, when it is trusted." The Shadow Lord roared and sent waves of dark energy at him. Ryan raised his hands, creating shields of pure light. The energy struck him, but he felt it flowing through him rather than breaking him. He focused, letting the spark move naturally. The light spread across the mountainside, pushing back the shadows. Darren stood beside him, his staff glowing blue. "You can do it, Ryan. Trust yourself." Ryan nodded. The fear that had gripped him for so long was still there, but it no longer controlled him. He let the spark guide his movements. Light burst from his hands, weaving through the darkness like rivers of fire. The shadow beasts that had accompanied the Lord were thrown back, dissolving into mist. The Shadow Lord's eyes widened. "Impossible," it shouted. "How can one human hold so much light?" Ryan realized the answer. It was not only the spark that gave him power. It was courage, hope, and trust. The village had believed in him, and he had chosen to believe in himself. That combination created something the Shadow Lord could not touch. The final wave of darkness surged forward. The Shadow Lord tried to strike with all its power, but Ryan stepped forward calmly. The light in him surged, forming a sphere that stretched far beyond his body. The spark connected with the land, the river, the mountains, and even the sky. Light poured into every corner, pushing the darkness back, illuminating every shadow. The Shadow Lord screamed, its voice cracking as it tried to resist. But the human's light was unyielding. It did not fight out of anger or hatred, it fought out of care, out of the desire to protect. Slowly, the Shadow Lord's form began to crumble, breaking apart into mist and smoke. The darkness retreated, fleeing beyond the mountains, leaving the land peaceful once more. Ryan fell to his knees, exhausted but relieved. Darren helped him to his feet. "You did it," he said, his voice filled with awe. "You really did it." The mountains were quiet again. The valley below, once cloaked in shadow, glowed in the warm light of the twin suns. The rivers sparkled, and the crystals reflected the sunlight in dazzling colors. The spark inside Ryan had not only defeated the darkness, it had restored life and balance to the land. The elder appeared, her face calm but proud. "Ryan, you have passed every trial. You have faced fear, darkness, and doubt. You have learned that the spark is not just power, but connection. You are now more than a protector of the village. You are a guardian of the land itself." Ryan looked out over the valley. He had come from a simple life on Earth, expecting only an ordinary job. He had found adventure, danger, and purpose beyond anything he had imagined. The spark had chosen him, but he had also chosen to embrace it. "I never thought I could do this," he admitted quietly. "I only wanted to help." The elder smiled. "And that is why you succeeded. Strength comes from desire, courage, and care. The spark amplifies these qualities, but it cannot create them. You already carried what was needed." Darren grinned. "I knew you could do it, Ryan. The village believed in you, and now you have proven yourself. You are one of us, fully." The villagers began to emerge from their hiding places. They cheered softly, approaching Ryan and Darren with smiles and reverence. Though they had feared for their lives, hope had returned. Light filled their hearts as well as their village. Ryan felt something he had never experienced before, a true sense of belonging. He had thought he was just a worker in a strange village, but now he understood his role. He was not alone. He had friends, allies, and a people who believed in him. Together, they could face any danger. The elder placed her hand gently on Ryan's shoulder. "Rest now. You have earned it. But remember, the spark is always with you. Darkness may rise again, but so long as hope exists, so does the light." Ryan looked out at the mountains and the valley, feeling the energy of the spark flowing steadily within him. He knew that the path ahead would hold challenges, but he no longer feared them. He had learned the power of courage, trust, and hope. For the first time in his life, he felt truly alive. He had come to the village expecting a simple job, but he had found a purpose far greater than he could have imagined. The spark had chosen him, and he had risen to meet it. As the twin suns set over the mountains, Ryan stood tall, ready for whatever the future might bring. The darkness had been defeated, but the light within him had only begun to shine. The village celebrated, the air filled with joy and gratitude. Ryan knew that he was no longer just a visitor in this world. He was part of something larger, a protector of life, a guardian of hope. His journey had started with curiosity, but it had ended with strength, understanding, and belonging. And in that moment, Ryan smiled. He knew that no matter what lay ahead, the spark would guide him, and the light would never fade.